Hi, how are you? Today's video is about mental blocks and my specific mental block towards tumbling.
She'll grow up and put on her suits and try to change the world.
So the reason that I wanted to talk about mental blocks is because mine has been really apparent lately. I am still in Tennessee, so I have access to a gymnastics facility where I can utilize a spring floor and a rod floor and an air track. So I've been tumbling more. And I have had a mental block since I was like 13, 14-ish, maybe 14. And I've tried to kind of work through it, but I go through periods where it gets worse and I go through periods where it gets better. But I just think that mental blocks can be so frustrating and debilitating for athletes. And I just wanted to talk about it with you guys today. So mental blocks are a really prominent part of acrobatics and other disciplines as well. Just recently we had Simone Biles and the twisties come up, and there's been a lot of talk of that. And it's just a very real part of the mental and physical health of these athletes. So I struggle with going backwards and connecting skills. I'm also fearful of how much power I have, which sounds weird, but I generate a lot of power and I have a lot of strength, but sometimes my rebounds and things from that terrify me. Now, I started tumbling when I was, I think, 11 or 12, but I was a gymnast before that, so I had done floor and I had done tumbling, but I started only tumbling when I was like 12, and I quit when I was like 14, maybe. And I didn't quit. I've been tumbling up until now. I just quit taking weekly classes in tumbling. But last year at Circadium, we had tumbling again. So I did take it last year. And I used to do a round off back handspring 4. So a round off and 4 consecutive back handsprings. That was my most impressive backwards skill without a spot. And I really loved to tumble. I didn't have issues back then when I was younger, and I really loved it. The reason that I actually quit was because of this mental block. I started developing it, and it was almost like every week I would lose a skill. So I would come and I would be afraid of the 4th back handspring, then the 3rd, then the 2nd, then the 1st. Then I wouldn't even want to do a standing back handspring. So it was this kind of very slow decline for me. And it was really mentally bad, frustrating. It was so sad to not understand why my body and my brain didn't trust each other. And losing skill week after week, and then eventually having to quit because So basically what had happened is I was in intermediate, which was an invitation-only class, and because I lost the skills that were prerequisites to be in the class, I had to leave the class. So instead of going to a beginner level, I quit. And that was really hard because I loved it. And it's very weird because I was doing silks throughout this time. And so I love drops. They're like my favorite thing on silks, and I have absolutely no issues with them because I personally can put my trust in my wrap knowledge, in my silks. I don't know. I don't have as much of an issue. And so it was so confusing to me. I didn't understand why I could do such high-leveled aerial tricks and then get on the tumbling floor and just feel my body shut down. That was scary. And I've been trying to work through it. I now have my standing back handspring again, and I'm working on connecting my round off and my back handspring. I have my aerial, and I have front handspring. Front tumbling was never really an issue. It still isn't. I'm not scared when I can see. Back tumbling, you just can't see, and so it becomes more fearful for me. Same with connecting skills. I get disoriented and freaked out. Now, it's not just like tumbling scares me. And I think that that's, one of the conversations that we were having with the Olympics and all that is, it's not what you think. It's not just, oh, you're scared of it. For me, I can talk myself up. I'm not scared. I know that I can physically do the skills, and I know that I've done them before. And then I go to do them, and as I am executing the skill, my muscles will bail and shut off because my brain just, like, they are not connected. There is a disconnect between my brain and my safety checks and my body and my muscle memory. And it ends up a lot of times resulting in bails. And that's really scary, which kind of just adds to the fear and makes me not want to tumble. The problem is that I love tumbling. Deep down, like, I really, really love to tumble. And I know that I will never be a professional tumbler. Like, I will never have that be my main discipline. But I want to utilize it in my career. I want to be proficient enough to be cast in shows where I can throw skills on the floor. And so I'm working really hard to combat this mental block, and there's a few things that I'm doing to try to kind of, make sure that I'm in a safe space when I'm training so that I can alleviate that. And then as soon as I can execute those skills, just drilling them over and over and over again so that I can eventually override that disconnect and fear. So I'm going to show you guys some tumbling that I've been doing this week. Now, this is another weird point. My technique is nasty. Some of these videos, my skills look gross. And it's interesting because I'm a coach, so I know exactly what they're supposed to look like. And muscle-wise and body conditioning-wise, I can do it perfectly. Every time I execute drills or lower level skills, my technique is pretty much flawless. But because of my mental block, it results in the most disgusting form I have seen. And so it's frustrating, right? Because I look like someone who's learning and just hasn't fixed their technique yet. But the reality is I actually have the technique, but to get me to do the skills, the technique is compromised because of the mental block. And what I mean by that is, like, if I can be lower to the ground, it makes my mental thing feel better. So when I'm lower to the ground, it feels better for me, which means instead of, jumping into my back handspring and straightening up and getting height, my body likes to stay low to the ground. So I usually stay with bent stuff and wide arms, and there's just a lot of inconsistencies, but don't judge me too hard. I know exactly what it's supposed to look like, and I understand where the flaws are. So anyway, enjoy these random clips. So in these videos, you can see I a lot of times just have to psych myself up and use, like, sheer determination to get through, because it's just weird. Like, some days I'll go in and I'll be able to tumble, and some days I just can't. But I usually start with standing back handsprings, and then the way that I've been trying to work on my round off back handspring is just round off, pause, going into it. Of course, for me, it's just like, if I do one wrong thing, and I try to go too quickly, I will completely bail in, like, a backward roll. I think I have a video. I'll show you guys the video of me bailing because my brain just shuts off, and it's really frustrating. But I'm working on it, so I'll keep you guys posted. Please leave me some comments if you have any tips, if you got over a mental block, like permanently over it, because I've had moments where I'm over it, but it still is very much in my brain, and I am at a place right now where I definitely don't feel in control. So comment down below if you know anything that'll help, and I hope you guys are doing great. I really want to open up this conversation, so please leave me some messages. Let me know what you're thinking. I love you all so much. I will see you on Sunday. I almost said Monday. I don't even upload on Monday. Goodbye.